UFC veteran, or as everybody on Knockout Radio know, friend of the program, Victory Wednesday, Gerald Meerschaert. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
How are you? That's the important question.
Hey, I'm great. I know it didn't look too good for a second there on Saturday, but I pretty much blocked all the bad punches, so my face is just fine. I'm feeling healthy and ready to go.
Good strategy.
How do you train for that?
Well, if you make training harder than the fight, that's a good place to start. But some of that's just good old fashioned grit.
Yep. I know we've talked about this before. Apex, big arena, pay-per-view, fight night. Does any of that stuff even matter? A fight's a fight, and that's your job?
Yeah, I mean, whatever location I'm fighting in, whether it's the Apex, whether it's big arena or a parking lot, if it's the UFC putting it on, my check cash is the same. So it's definitely, I'm comfortable at the Apex. It's a great way to keep guys working, keep guys in fights. So, I don't think they should take it away completely, but it is always fun to get in a big arena and fight in front of a crowd. I got to say that.
Another really great facility is Emily Arena, December 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys watched the fight, but I called that out right after I had an opponent. I called out Paul Craig, who's another really great middleweight UFC fighter, and I put that out there that I'd love to fight December 14th in Tampa. It'd be my second time being there. It's close to home for me, so hopefully the boss man puts that together.
Well, I'll have to reach out to Dana because as close as it is for you, it's even closer for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gerald, I want to talk to you real quick. I mean, I know you've been in UFC for a very long time, but I think one of the best feeder leagues, if you want to put it that way, is King of the Cage, and you were there for a while. What was your experience like there, and what advice would you give a young fighter coming up and trying to get to the UFC?
Well, the King of the Cage back then, it was still a little bit of the Wild West. Like, it was a great show. You got great competitors. They traveled around a lot. It was a great way to get in there and test yourself. I would say for guys now, there's a lot more options on, like, UFC Fight Pass to get eyes on you a little bit. My longtime training partner and my friend Anthony Pettis, he has a great show, APFC, that's on UFC Fight Pass, and they're all around the Midwest. There's some good shows down here in Florida that are local, like Combat Night's a really good show. Karate Combat puts on some striking shows. You get a little experience there. There's always, I'm a veteran of the RFA, which is now the LFA. That's another great show. Cage, the CFFC, Cage Fury, that's a good one. So any of those places that you can get in front of eyeballs like that, it's a great way to go.
I mean, Gerald, we've known you a long time. Obviously, we expect you to be humble, but let's celebrate the fact that you have broken Anderson Silva's record for the most finishes in welterweight or middleweight division of the UFC.
Middleweight.
Congratulations to you, my brother.
Congratulations.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
How do you, man? Couldn't happen to a better person.
I really appreciate that. Yes, I try not to think about it too much because I'm still actively competing, but it is a nice feather in the cap to just not even just have your name mentioned, but have some kind of statistic over one of the greatest fighters of all time. So that's really cool.
Well, let me jump in real quick. Maybe you do want to think about it because records are made to be broken. So let's extend that, where, it may last for 15, 20, 30 years.
Oh, absolutely. Trust me. I'm the only, I have one win in the UFC by knockout from a body kick. Every other win I have is a submission finish. So, I plan on extending that record for a little bit here, just like I did with the submission record. So hopefully it takes a Herculean effort on somebody else to come and break that.
Big word.
So yeah. Does that matter? Does that matter, like, to fighters? Like, if it's knockout, submission, or is there like a badge of honor, in the sport of, like, I know Randy has a story of his friend George Gazelle, and he used to always try to beat people at their strengths, not his strengths.
I hated that.
So
me too.
So is there strategy behind it, or how do you feel?
I mean, for me, that's the best way for me to finish a fight. I don't have like Mike Tyson knockout power, so that's just how I go about doing it. Everybody loves seeing a knockout, but I think the way I go about getting submissions, where I get a little roughed up or I rough them up, I think people enjoy it. So as long as everybody's enjoying watching the fight, that's the most important thing.
Does that bother you as a licensed judge here in Florida and a guy that has trained a little in jiu-jitsu? I love the ground game. I love the submission game. But does it bother you when people, boo when a fight goes to the ground, or can you even hear it?
Oh, yeah, I can hear it sometimes. I'm pretty aware of what's going on. I mean, it doesn't necessarily bother me because I like the ground and I'm very aware of what's going on and everything that's happening. But I get it. If you don't know what's going on, it does look ridiculous, and it'd be hard to understand why these guys are just rolling around and not getting up. That being said, I think the crowds nowadays are a lot better educated and a lot more aware of the ground game. So I think it's shifted a lot from what it used to be to, people will start cheering when guys get good positions. Maybe they'll boo a little bit if it gets stagnant, but I think in general, by and large, the MMA community, especially UFC fans, have come a long, long way, and it's starting to change.
We were at a Kimbo fight down in Fort Lauderdale, and one of my former co-hosts, Knockout Jojo, halfway through the fight, he starts screaming, "Put him on the ground, ref!"
Yeah, that's one way to go about doing it, yeah.
Gerald, we talk a lot on this show about our Mount Rushmore of fighters. Who do you think was or is the best middleweight fighter that you looked up to while you were coming up during your career?
Oh, man, I mean, there's been a lot of really, really good guys. I'd say probably so far that I can think of, Anderson Silva, mainly dominant. He jumped weight classes. He was an active champion, and was beating guys that were up a weight class. So it's pretty hard to argue against that. But there's been a lot of great fighters over the years, and it's good to be a part of that.
100%, I agree with you. You really?
Yeah.
Every time because I think he's the GOAT.
It's just the young generation, Gerald, that's now becoming MMA fans, becoming UFC fans. Some of them don't even know who Anderson Silva is. They go to Google and they'll look at his last couple fights and that he didn't do well in or whatever. So they don't consider him. A lot of people don't consider him, but they didn't live it. They didn't go through it. Anderson Silva, scary dude.
I mean, I think even Michael Bisping was a good fighter at middleweight.
Oh, Michael Bisping was great. Yeah, I mean, he won the belt. He came back on short notice and knocked out a guy who had previously beaten him pretty handily. So, I mean, that's nothing to turn your nose up at for sure.
My favorite thing about Michael Bisping was he was one of the athletes that would get booed as he walked through the arena, and then everybody stopped him to get an autograph or a picture.
Oh, yeah, they'd be cheering when he left because, his personality is, it's something you kind of got to get used to, but he's definitely a fan favorite now, and you can't help but appreciate a guy that fights his heart out there.
No, absolutely. So what was the first thing that you enjoyed food-wise or whatever after the fight?
Oh, so after the fight, we did all the interviews and everything, took the pictures. We got dropped off back at the hotel. It was actually, go figure, it's kind of nice out for once that night in Vegas. It wasn't like 1,000,000 degrees. We walked down to this little, a taco shop, and they had some great stuff there, and I got myself a El Pastor burrito. So that was the highlight of my night.
Scale of 1 to 10, how was the burrito?
At least an 8.5. It was really good. I'm sure it tasted a lot better because I hadn't eaten anything that was cooked in lard in probably 3 months, but it was a good burrito.
Let me ask you this, because I've always wanted to ask a fighter, and I'm kind of uncomfortable because I think I know the answer, but how come fighters only take that picture after a fight when they win? It's a serious question. I mean that. I'm not trying to. It's a serious question. A fighter still just fought in the UFC. It's still a big deal. And they never.
You're talking about the upper 0.5% of competitive people in the world in a given field. I would say the general feeling of depression and hopelessness is probably a big part of it. And winner stays in and does an interview, takes a picture. Usually, if it doesn't go your way, no matter whether you got dominated or whether you just got caught or whether it was a bad decision, you're not really thinking about any of that. You just want to get out of there. So that's probably why.
All right, and that makes sense. And I would understand, a veteran of X amount of fights, maybe the first fight, it's the first time that they're in the octagon, it's coming from a short, fat, old guy, that's never been in an octagon fight. So it's just my thought.
Yeah, there is some point to that, though. When you're done with a fight, it is good to reflect. And, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's an athletic contest. It doesn't make or break you as a person. And like you said, just getting into the UFC, that makes you, in a very, very small group, and it's nothing to be ashamed of.
And not even necessarily at the end of the day. How about the end of a decade? 8-10 years later, you're looking back and, you've at least got that photo. It was just a thought. That's all.
Oh, yeah. No, trust me, no matter what happens, there's plenty of photos going on during fight week, so they got something.
Well, I know you made the call out after the fight, but what's next for you?
I'm hoping December 14th in Tampa. I also shared that on social media, and the boss man, at the very least, reacted to it, so I feel like that's a good sign. But, the fight's still pretty fresh. I haven't heard anything quite yet. I'm going to stay as healthy as I can and as ready as I can. I got a wedding to go to, so I'll be gone for a week, so I'm going to try not to get, too fat and out of shape while I'm doing that. But other than that, I'm just trying to get back into it and stay ready and be the best fighter I can be for hopefully that December card.
Let's just go out on a limb and say that you don't get on the December 14th card to fight at Amalie Arena in Tampa. When can we get you in Tampa in a non-fight week so that we can, do some of the fishing in the Busch Gardens and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not fighting in December, I'd probably say in the next couple of months here, I should be able to make time to come down there, because that's really what it depends on. If I got to fight, then I got to focus on that. But if I'm not going to fight till, January or February, I'm sure I could get down there sometime in September, October.
Absolutely. And if nothing else, we got to the Gatorland and watch you, because we've done it, watch you go and feed these gators we're in the cage with the gators, and you're literally 4 feet as you're feeding the gators the full chickens.
Yeah, I'm going to need like a firearm with me to do that, because I already put myself in enough danger. I don't need to get my limbs snapped off by a gator.
No, you'll see. There's no danger in it. It was amazing that they just sit there and wait to get fed. It's crazy, but we'll go. If you don't want to do it, we'll do it again. But it is crazy. You just definitely have to experience it. The whole family.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Matt and I have to spar soon, so we're going to need a place to do it. So hopefully we can use your chip. We'll definitely go over there and you could judge and be a referee for us.
Oh, heck yeah. I got plenty of pairs of gloves. You guys come to Kill Cliff, just sign the waiver, and then we're good to go.
All right.
We'll do it.
I got a pen in my hand.
I've got money on Mike, just so you know. So you can't judge, because I already told you who I got money on, but I don't think we're going to need a judge. I think someone's getting knocked out. But
sign the dotted line.
He wants to go live, Jared. He wants to go live. Because he likes to talk about how he can beat professional fighters up, and I'm like, you can't even beat me. I'm 55 years old.
I'm undefeated.
Gerald, we just wanted to have you on for Victory Wednesday. I see this was all planned out. You took the nap last week knowing that you were going to come on this Wednesday for Victory Wednesday.
Yeah, it ended up working out in my favor, so I'm glad it all went according to plans.
It definitely worked out. Thank you for your time, as always. I'll reach out to you and get all that thing set up. If you're not fighting, all we need to do is work on some dates. And thanks for everything. And, enjoy the victory still.
Yeah, thank you, Randy. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Take care. That is Gerald Meerschaert, who getting more 8-man strong, getting more bucked up. Good dude.
Really good
dude. The record holder.
That's pretty impressive.
Over Anderson Silva, the GOAT.
Good stuff. All right, let's hit the bottom of the hour break. Another interesting story coming up.